Hey guys, what is going on? It is Spherical here, and we are slowly but surely coming down to the end of Vinland Saga. This is episode number 18, so let's do the math. 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. That wasn't math at all, actually. That was just counting. 7 episodes left, though, including this one. And again, we're just at that point where, and I feel like I've said this like the last 2 or 3 weeks in a row, we're at that point where everything's just, it's all coming together, right? You know, the meme, but not really the meme. This is really all coming together. Yeah, I mean, we had that cool flashback with Ascalad last episode. And again, Ascalad, as with last episode, as with this entire show, although he is clearly portrayed as a terrible person, he's also clearly portrayed as a person that you almost want to succeed in a way, even though he's a terrible person, right? So I mean, again, I don't want him to die. At this point, Thorfinn and Thorkel are gonna duke it out to see who gets to kill Ascalad later. So yeah, I mean, with that out of the way, I'm ready to get into this episode. So as always, links at the top of the description. It'll take you to Vimeo. You can watch the reaction highlight there, and then head back here afterwards for the post-episode discussion. With that out of the way, let's get into the episode. Man, that episode, I love the whole line of you know, we're gonna unpack this quite a bit. I love the whole talk about love in this episode, and the line the priest kind of said, or Canute kind of asked him, you know, if, you know, what about, you know, Ragnar's affection towards me, you know, all these examples, isn't this love? And the priest replies with, no, that's discrimination. And I feel like that line, that is like the exact type of line that when you're reading a book in an English class, your teacher would take that line and literally devote an entire class just to packing or unpacking that one line. It's a really, really good, like, I don't know, it's just it's a cool way to look at things. So again, it's all kind of derived from the, you know, the whole Christian story of Adam and Eve, and how, you know, they betrayed God, and yeah, that's kind of where we are now. So that's why we commit sins. That's why, you know, I'm not exactly, like, I can't remember I don't remember the story too well, but basically humans are unable to love properly. At least in the context of the way the priest is describing it here. So all of those things that you see as love, you know, a father's love for a child, or a mother, I guess, or, you know, love for the opposite gender, like marriage, or all those kinds of love, it's actually not love at all. It's discrimination. I thought that was like a really cool way to put it. Again, of course, all of that kind of stuff comes up to your personal belief and what you believe and whatnot. But it's a really, really cool take on the whole situation. And then further to expand upon that, Canute kind of went, okay, well, the snow, this is love. And then he started to realize, this is love, this is love, this is love. Basically, anything that's not human is love. And Canute, like, after that whole talk, he did a full 180. Again, he is now a king, or at least he's king material. You know what I mean? So, it's so cool, though. I like it. Again, I had said it in the reaction. At first, when, you know, the whole talk of love started popping up with the priest, at first it kind of seemed like, okay, this is going to be kind of like a little gag that'll show up every once in a while, but won't really lead anywhere, like this whole talk of love, whatever. But then as they started talking about it a bit more and more, it started to become clear, like, okay, this is going to be like a little bit of a theme here. And now we reached the point where that is literally the turning point for Canute. I really think it's interesting. I like it. The priest as a whole, again, his character, I'm 99% sure he's gonna die at some point. I'm 100% sure he's gonna die at some point. But if he doesn't, I want him to become like a priest, you know, in Denmark or something. I mean, I guess that wouldn't really work because they're not Christian, but, you know, I like, at least in the context of this time period, but like, I'd want to see him become like some important member in Canute's nation, I guess, once he becomes king. You know what I mean? That'd be awesome. So while that talk was happening, it kind of showed the the fight between Thorkel and Thorfinn, which again, Thorkel brought up the question, do you know what it means? What did he say? What it means to be a warrior or something like that? And again, that brought Thorfinn back to his memory of Thor's basically telling him what it means to be a warrior, right? And again, all of Thor's talks about that kind of stuff when it comes to Thorfinn always revolves around, protect your family, fighting. It's basically just comes down to protect other people, right? And that's not what Thorfinn's doing at all whatsoever. He's not protecting anybody. He's just fighting for his own self-interest in killing Thorkel, right? It's not like killing Askeladd, sorry. It's not like hunting down and killing Askeladd's gonna make anything better. It's not like Thor wants that in the first place or would want that. Everything that Thorfinn is doing is out of his own self-interest, whether he realizes it or not. So every time that's brought up, every time his father's brought up, really, he always kind of reflects on that, on what Thor's told him, and you can tell he feels guilty about it. But I think at this point, also, he's so far gone that, like, what if he decided to stop for revenge? What would he do? Like, his whole life has been devoted to killing Askeladd. It's like he doesn't really know anything else, so again, I do want to learn more about Thorkel and his relationship with Thor's, because we don't really know anything about how the two of them work together. The only reason why we even know that they work together is because we saw them both in the intro to this show. And Thorkel has said a couple times that he did know Thor's, but he hasn't really elaborated further. One thing from this episode, it was not very often that this happens, but nearly the entire opening was just scenes from this one episode, which is really weird because it's not like too rare for openings to be, just or at least in part be a compilation of scenes that you see in the anime, but this opening was specifically just a whole bunch of scenes from this one episode. So again, I'm not really a fan of that as a whole. I don't like it. It is kind of a sign of laziness in a way, but also not really, because like the scenes that we see are obviously scenes that are made in the manga, like first and foremost, and then of course in an opening you want to show a lot of the coolest parts of the arc that's going to follow. So I don't think it's a bad thing that they're reusing some of the animation. It is a little bit lazy, but it looks good anyways. So but I don't know, it just gives me the impression of maybe they didn't have a whole lot of time. Because like the entire like first half of the opening, I feel, no, actually that's not true, because there are a couple scenes like Askeladd appearing on the shore with his mother. That is a scene that was in the opening. I forgot that we saw a couple episodes ago. The scene with Ragnar from this episode, I think we see in the opening. Of course, quite a few scenes from the fight between Thorfinn and Thorkel we see in the opening. So I don't know, it doesn't really matter to me, but it's important to know, because I know a lot of people really, really hate when that happens. So I wouldn't be surprised if there were a couple people complaining after this episode aired about that whole deal. But beyond that, I literally wrote nothing down from this episode, so just a really good episode. Again, I cannot wait. The soundtrack, have they given a release date or anything for it? Because the problem with a lot of new airing anime is it usually takes a long time for the soundtracks to be released, because of course with a brand new show, it's often unclear as to what the demand would be for the OST, whereas with a show that's been popular and that's been out for maybe a season or two, usually the OST is released, either right after the season ends or even before the season ends. I'm just on CD Japan. I don't even think they have any listing for it on here yet, which means it probably won't be coming anytime soon. Yeah, that always sucks. I hate having to wait for OSTs when they're not released right away. Like for example, Fairy Tail, the final season, which I like gave up on halfway through, but I've been waiting for that OST to come out for ages, and it still doesn't come out for like another month or two, even though the show's been done for months and months at this point. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it from this episode. Again, just great episode, really good episode when it comes to like reflection and whatnot. And at this point, only 6 episodes left, so that's 3 weeks from now, and we'll be done this. So, anyways, I thank you guys for watching. I wish you guys all a Merry Christmas. Of course, Christmas Eve is tomorrow. Well, I guess that's awkward because if you're watching this on YouTube, it's most definitely not. It was a week ago, but Merry Christmas, anyways. And I'll talk to you guys all on Thursday with episode number 19 of Vinland Saga. Until then, peace out.